Hey, okay, so thanks for joining us today. Hi.
Okay, hi.
And Facebook, thanks for checking us out. Today we'll be talking about prepositions of time and place for at, on, in. First of all, pronunciation, right? You want to get the right pronunciation? So we're going to say at.
At.
Beautiful, I like that. It's awesome. On.
On.
That's awesome too. In.
In.
Great, I love that. Okay, so we're gonna start off with a little diagram. Okay, so if you can do this in your notebook, this is gonna help us understand prepositions a bit more. This marker sucks. Let's get another one. Let's get a different marker here. Let's get a different marker here, and we'll start. So it's better. Okay, so we're gonna draw a circle. That's gonna be the parts of the day, right? We're gonna divide it here. Okay? Here, here, and here. Okay? Great. So we're going to start here at 6 a.m. We'll move on here. Did we get the pronunciation right? At, on, in.
In.
Yeah, we got it right. Okay, great. So we're going to put here a 12 p.m. mark. Here, we're going to do the 6 p.m. mark. And here, we're going to do what? 12 a.m. Correct. So that's going to be our day, and since we're talking about time, this graph is going to help us understand, okay? First, let's begin with at. Okay, let's begin with at. Let's use some nice colors here. Why not? Thank you. Okay. I always think of orange when I think of at. I don't know why, but we'll do at. Okay. So the uses for at. As per your documents, we're going to use at for what? Clock time. Okay? So I guess that's the most important time. The most important use for at. We'll be using at for clock time. And let's begin with some expressions. So, what time does class start? Class starts at what time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. You can say 2 o'clock if you want to sound, if you wish to sound formal, right? At 2 o'clock. You could say 2 p.m. at 2 p.m., right? Or informal, you and I know this is the afternoon already, so we don't need to say o'clock or p.m. We're just having a conversation, so we're just going to say at 2. Class starts
At 2?
at 2. So everything regarding time is going to be at. Now let me go ahead and teach you some other expressions. Usually in the past, we would say half past. Let's say if we had to do something like this, right? We would say, how was it? Half past 2, quarter past 2. Remember those expressions? Yeah? Well, this is not too popular anymore. People don't really say this too much. They don't say half past 2. Right? This is a bit too formal. But in everyday conversation, we just say 2:30. 2:30. Right? At 2:30. Other expressions that can help you with at would be, for instance, when you're not like exact about the time, you know. So what time did you go to bed yesterday? I guess that I went to bed at about, I don't know, 11. I went to bed at about 11. You know, not exactly 11 o'clock. Right? 11:10, 11:05, somewhere around there. Another expression that can help you out is at around, also, right? At around 11. I went to bed at around 11. Also gives you an idea of, not exact time, but close, right? Approximate time. You can also say at roughly. At roughly. Roughly. Which means the same thing. All three mean the same thing. I went to bed at, or let's say, I had lunch today at roughly, let's say, at roughly 12:30. You understand? 30. So that's a common. These are common expressions, but you always have to say at. Okay, at about
11. At around 11. At roughly 12:30.
I like your pronunciation. So roughly, using IPA transcription, right? This over here is going to be transcribed to Rough? Rough?
Rough.
Volcano sound, right? Rough? Roughly.
Roughly.
You got it. So that's why it's important to get IPA too, right? So another expression that's used a lot when you're giving like an idea of time. So what time did you get to work today? Well, I got to work today at roughly, or you could say at 8-ish, at 9-ish. So you got this 9 and the ish. Have you heard that?
No.
You heard that a lot? You heard that a lot? So you say, what time does class start? At 2-ish. What time did you? What time are we gonna get the meeting started? 9:30-ish. 9:30-ish. Have you heard that? At 9:30-ish. At 9:30-ish. Right, to give you like an idea of time. So it wasn't exactly 9:30, 9:35, 9:32, something like that. So it was 9:30-ish. 9:30-ish. Okay, are we good with that? So all of these expressions are very useful when you're not talking about exact time. Okay? But when you are talking about exact time, then you might want to use other expressions. Let me put them here for you. So we're going to say, at what time does your shift start? My shift starts at 8. And we're going to use the expression sharp. My shift starts at 8 sharp. That means exactly at 8, not over 8. Okay? Other expressions could be, what time do you have lunch? Well, I usually have lunch at 1 on the dot. On the dot. They mean the same thing. Exactly there. Right? On the dot. So we have, what time did you have, what time do you start work? At 8 sharp. What time do you have lunch? At 1 on the dot. You understand? So these two expressions convey the idea that it's exact time. That don't be late. So what time are we going to meet? Are we going to meet next week? At 2? 1?
On the dot.
On the dot, yeah. What time is the class going to finish?
At 8 sharp.
There you go. And that's talking. You understand? Are we good with these expressions?
Yes.
Okay. So again, at, the first use of at is going to be for what? For what?
Clock time.
Clock time. That's the first use of at. Are we good with that? Mm-hmm. Great. Other uses of at regarding the parts of the day would be, for example, let's talk about the parts of the day. Parts of the day. Let's talk about, let's see, what do you call it when the sun goes up? We call this time of day sunrise. Right? Sunrise. 12 p.m. we call this noon. We call this noon. When the sun goes down, we call this, we call it?
Sunset.
Sunset. When it's this time of the day, we say it's what?
Midnight.
Midnight. Exactly. So for these expressions, we're going to use, we're going to say what? At sunrise, at noon, at sunset, at midnight. Okay? And vampires come out at what time? At night. Vampires come out at night. At night. Yes, you may. Yes, you may. At night. Are we good with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So vampires come out?
At night.
At night. Okay, great. Another expression that we could use to talk about sunrise. Another word that we can use is dawn. Can you say that? Dawn. A-W? Dawn.
Dawn.
Dawn. So dawn is the same thing as sunrise, and you're also going to say at?
Dawn.
At dawn. I get up?
At dawn.
At dawn. Good. Another word for sunset would be the word dusk. Can you say that?
Dusk.
Dusk with the volcano sound. With the volcano sound. Dusk.
Dusk.
So you're also going to say?
Dusk.
At?
Dusk.
At dusk. Okay? So animals go to sleep?
At dusk.
At dusk. Okay? Great. Good. And And that's basically how we're going to use at. Let's see, other expressions that are commonly used with at are, for instance, when we talk about certain times of meals, certain meals during the day, right? So we talk about breakfast, we talk about lunch, and we talk about what? Dinner. So for all of these, we're going to say at breakfast, at lunch, at dinner. Right? So to give you an example, I see my family at dinner. We can also add the expression dinner time, right? So we could say at breakfast time, at lunch time, or at dinner time. You understand? So I'll see you at
lunchtime.
At lunchtime. Okay? Are we good with that? So that's the first use of at. Let's review. 3 uses. Number 1,
Clock time.
good. Number 2,
Part of the day.
part of the day, parts of the day. And then
Meals.
meals. We talk about meals. Okay? So examples of time. Let's see. What time do you get up? What time do you get up?
At 6 a.m.
Great. On the dot?
On the dot.
On the dot. Great. What time do you usually have lunch?
At 2:30.
At 2:30. Sharp?
Not precisely.
Okay, so not precisely?
At roughly.
Roughly. Rough.
Roughly.
At roughly
2:30.
2:30. Exactly. So let's use ish.
At 2:30.
2:30-ish. 2:30?
2:30-ish.
2:30-ish. Great. That's great. Parts of the day. We're going to say what? At?
Sunrise.
At?
Dawn.
Dawn. Dawn. Good. At?
Noon.
Good. At?
Sunset.
Sunset?
At dusk.
At dusk?
At midnight.
At midnight. Okay. Who gets up at dawn? Do you get up at dawn?
Yes, I am.
I-
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I get up
I get up at 6. At dawn.
at dawn.
At dawn.
So you can say I get up at dawn at 5.
At
You understand? So you
at
say
dawn.
I get up at
Dawn. At 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Good. At noon.
At noon.
It's hot
It's hot.
at
Noon.
noon. Great. Let's move on to meals. At breakfast,
At breakfast. At lunchtime. At dinner time.
dinner. Who do you see at breakfast time? Who do you see at breakfast time? Who do you see?
At breakfast time. At 6:30.
Who do you see? Are you on your own, or do you have breakfast time with somebody else in your family?
No, at breakfast time with my family.
Ah, okay. So it's breakfast. So at breakfast time, I see
I see
my family.
my family.
Good. So that's how we use at. Any questions?
No.
So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, I'd like you to go to page number 5 of your booklet. Okay? And let's talk about the preposition in. Let's talk about in for a minute. Okay? Great. May I erase this?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's erase this here. Okay? Let's erase this here. And let's talk about the preposition in. When I think about the preposition in, I think about the color red. For some reason, I don't know why. So I got in. Let's talk about in. We're also going to use in for certain parts of the day as well. So for certain parts of the day, we're also going to use in. Okay? So, going back to our chart here, going back to the chart, let's do a little graph here. So, let's say from 6 in the morning to 12, what do we call this part of the day? We call this the morning, right? What do we call this? The
Morning.
The morning. Correct. Noon. Everything that is from after 12 is going to be
Noon.
afternoon.
Afternoon.
Exactly. So from 12 all the way to 6, 12 all the way to 6, it's going to be what?
Afternoon.
The afternoon. Can you say the?
The afternoon.
That's better. The afternoon. Say it. The afternoon.
The afternoon.
Excellent. So from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m., okay, we're going to have the evening.
The evening.
Can you say the evening?
The evening.
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 Evening. The evening. Okay? Remember that this starts with a vowel, so we gotta pronounce the article as the. The afternoon.
The afternoon.
The evening.
The evening.
That's correct. Okay, so from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., what's this gonna be? What's this gonna be?
Morning.
You're absolutely right. So is this gonna be the?
The morning.
Here you're gonna pronounce it as the because this is a consonant. The morning. This
The
is
morning.
the morning. Okay? Are we good? So far so good? Okay. Good. When we talk about the parts of the day, we're going to use in. So here, oh, but I forgot one part of the day. This part of the day. Right? Where a lot of people wake up very early, 4, 5, and 5-ish, 4-ish in the morning. Right? What are we going to call this also? We're going to call this the early morning. The early morning or the dawn. Okay? Early morning. So here, we're going to say, we're going to use the preposition. We're going to use the preposition in. So we're going to say what? In?
In the early morning.
Exactly. Here, we're going to say what?
In the morning.
In the morning. Over here?
In the morning.
In the morning. Here?
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Here?
In the evening.
The evening.
Evening.
Okay? And in the morning.
In the morning.
Okay? So we're going to use in for these expressions of the day. Are we good with this? Okay. So now we have like more vocabulary, more words to use. So we could say, yeah, I get up at dawn in the early morning
In the early morning.
at 4. Okay? So let's try that again. I get up
I get up in the early morning, dawn,
at dawn
at dawn, at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. Good. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right, great. So that's how we're going to use in for these parts of the day. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Are we good so far there? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So pretty much that's how we talk about the day. We also use in when we also make reference to just a month. Okay. So when we're talking about just a month, we're also going to use in. Okay. So for instance, if I were to ask you, when were you? When were you born? When were you born? I was born in June. I was born in June. Just the month. Okay? No dates. Okay? So, for instance, in what month? Sorry for that. In what month? In what month is my favorite holiday? In what month is Halloween? In what month is Halloween? In what month is Halloween?
October.
What preposition are we going to use?
In October.
October. Just making reference to the month. Okay? So for instance, when is Christmas?
In December.
When is Mother's Day?
In May.
Great. When is Father's Day?
In June.
When is Black Friday?
In November.
In November. When is Thanksgiving?
In
Also in November.
Also in this November.
In November. Okay, good. So when you just make reference to the month, you use in. So that's one thing. Another thing that we're going to use in for is when you're just making reference to the year. Just the year. So when you're just making reference to the year, we just use in. Okay? So going back to the question, in what year were you born? In what year were you born? I was born in 1978. I was born in 1978. Just the year. Okay? Or I could say, I was born I was born in apostrophe 78. I was born in 78. So I don't really need to say 19. Okay? So, in what year were you born?
What year?
Yes.
1978 or 78?
I
was born in 78.
In 78. Got it? When was the when did Guatemala become independent? Year. In?
Do
you remember?
No, I don't remember. It was for a long time.
1821, right?
In 1821.
Yeah, in 1821. When did you start your first job? In what year? When did you start working?
I think. Let me think.
Sure. While you're thinking, let me tell you when I started working as a teacher. I started to work as a teacher in 2005. In 2005. That was a long time ago.
Yes.
When did you start working?
I started working in 2008.
2008. Okay, fantastic. So when we are just making reference to the year, we're going to use in, just the year. Okay. Another use of in is when we're obviously talking about seasons. When we're talking about the seasons. Okay. Now in Guatemala, we don't have 4 seasons. We don't. All we have is summertime, spring, and what do we call these showers, tropical rains. That's all we have in Guatemala, right? So in Guatemala, we have only spring, right? Okay? But in other northern countries, in the northern hemisphere, there are 4 seasons. So we have spring, what's the other one? Summer. After summer, what do we have? We have the fall, or we have autumn. Hi, how are you? Great. Come on in, come on in. So we have, yes, go ahead and do your thing. So we have the fall and autumn. And we also have winter. Okay? Winter.
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 Winter or winter?
American English it would be winter. Winter. Winter, not winter.
Winter, not the same.
Winter.
To win,
There's a little T there, but kind of hidden. Okay? Winter.
winter.
Okay, so we're gonna say what? We're gonna say in spring, in
Summer, in the fall, in
autumn.
autumn,
The
in
fall and autumn are the same. So is it autumn?
autumn.
Do you remember AU? AU gives us what sounds?
Autumn.
Aw.
Autumn.
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 So we say in autumn in here,
Winter.
in the winter.
In the winter.
In the winter. Okay, good. So for seasons, we're gonna use
In.
in. Good. What do you do in the summer? What do you do in the summer?
In the summer, I go to the beach.
Good. What do you do in the spring?
I play the piano.
That's good. Okay. And well, basically, we're going to use in for other things as well. This is not included in your document, but there are some other uses. We could talk about in for. Excuse me. We can talk about in when we talk about decades. Decades. So let's say when we talk about decades, we can talk about, let's say, we can talk about the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, okay? Those are decades, 10 years, right? Or I could also say the 1980s, the 1990s, or just the 2000s there, okay? So when you talk about decades, we use in, okay? So for instance, in the 80s I was a child. In the 90s, I was a rebellious teenager. In the 2000s, I started university. You see what I'm saying? Good. Tell me what you did in the 80s.
In the 80s, I was listening music of the 80s.
Okay.
In the 90s, I was a teenager.
Good.
And in the 2000s, I started working.
You started work. Excellent. Good job. Another use for in would be, like, let's say when you talk about, can you say this word? Centuries.
Centuries.
Centuries. Remember the TU? We're going to pronounce it as TU, right? Centuries.
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 A century is what? 100 years?
Every 100.
Every 100 years. Yeah, exactly. So we could say in the 14th, what?
Century.
In the 14th century, there was a disease known as the Black Plague. In the 19th century, we had the Industrial Revolution. 20th century, 21st century. So we're talking about a span of 100 years. Okay, so that covers in. Are we good so far? So let's recap. So in, we're going to use in for what?
In for parts of the day.
So we say what? We say what?
In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, in the morning, in the early morning,
Can you say the early morning?
the early morning.
Okay, you know why, right? You know why it's the? Why?
The,
Why? Why is it the? Why?
because we start with
Vowel.
vowel.
That's right. And why do we say the here? Why? Because this is
It's
a...
a consonant.
It's a consonant.
Okay.
Okay, great. We also use in for what?
Just month.
Just a month. For example,
In June.
in June. Or we can use it for just the
Year.
year. So we say in.
In 1978. Thank you very much.
Wow, that looks really good. Thank you, Sam. In
1978.
1978.
Or we can use 78.
There you go. Good. We also use in for the seasons.
Seasons.
So we say what? We say what? In
the spring, in summer, in the fall, in the autumn,
autumn, just autumn.
in winter.
In winter. Or or you can say the winter as well. Are we good with this? Okay, great. We can use in for what? Decades.
Decades.
So we say
80s,
in the
in the 80s, in
1980s.
1980s,
Good.
in 90s,
In
in the 90s,
we gotta use the article.
in the 90s, in the 1990s, in the thousands,
2000s.
2000s,
Great. We can also use it for centuries.
centuries,
So we say in the.
14th
I
century,
like your pronunciation. 14th. That sounds
14th.
perfect.
19th,
Wow, good job. That's amazing. Good job. I like your pronunciation. Okay? Yes? One last use. One last use. We can also use in for spans of time. Spans of time. Like, we're going to have a delicious taco only for excellent students. I'm sorry, if you're not here, you're losing out. We're going to have an excellent taco in about 10 minutes because I need to teach you about
in the
art.
class.
In the class, yes. So, to give you an idea of time, may I erase this here?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. So we're going to say, we're going to have a taco in 10 minutes. In about 10 minutes, right?
In about
Yeah,
minutes.
because I got to teach you the other prepositions. In about 10 minutes. So here to here is the span, right? 1 minute to 10 minutes. So we're going to have the taco in
about 10 minutes.
in about 10 minutes. Okay? Good. And the class will finish in about 2 hours, 2 hours and a half. Are we good with this? Alright, let's move on to the other preposition, which is the preposition on. And when I think about the preposition on, guess what? I think about purple. I don't know why. So we're going to go on. And let's talk about on. Okay, let's talk about on. So in your booklet that you have there, let's take a look at some of the uses for on. Okay, primarily we're going to use on when we talk about the days of the week. Days of the week. So when we talk about the days of the week, right? So, when is your class? When is your class?
It's on Saturday.
So your class is on Saturday. On Saturday, right? If you wish to turn this into a routine, you just add an S.
Saturdays.
When is your class?
On Saturdays.
Do you have your class on weekdays, or do you have it on weekends?
On weekends.
Exactly. On routine? On weekends. Do you come to class on weekdays?
No.
You don't come to class on weekdays. Routine? Yes. Weekdays. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, the K kind of looks weird, right? Weekdays. Okay.
On weekdays. Thank you.
Good. So we also use on when we talk about expressions like weekend, right? Weekend, the weekend, weekdays, etc. Okay? Wow, we've got a delicious drink as well. So we're going to have a hibiscus flower. Rosa Jamaica, hibiscus flower. Hibiscus flower. Juice.
Can you write that word? At what?
Oh my God, this is delicious. Hibiscus.
Business.
Hibiscus.
Had
Hey, I'm gonna write that in just a second. Let's finish with the prepositions. So on the weekend, as well, we use the preposition on. Okay. So I have students who come to class. They come to class, for instance, on Tuesday and on Thursday. So I've got students who come to class on Tuesday and
on Thursday.
on Thursday. Okay? On the weekends.
On weekends.
Right? Or we always use on. You could say on the weekends. If you want to be specific about the weekend, then you have to use the article. So you're going to say on the weekend. Here, being specific. So I'll see you on the weekend, which means on the weekend this weekend. Okay? Are we good so far? Yep. All right. Let's move on. So another use for on is when we talk about the dates. When we talk about dates, right? So can I erase this? May I erase this?
Yes.
Okay, good. When we talk about the dates. So let's get started with the dates. So with the dates, we're going to say, for instance, we're going to have, let's say, month plus the day. An example of this would be, let's say, July 4th. We're going to say on July 4th. On July 4th, Americans celebrate their independence, right? Month and day. On September 15th, Guatemalans celebrate their independence, right? So month, day. It could be also month plus the year. Okay? Month plus the year. So we could say on, yeah, well I got September here. On September 2000, on September 2011, the World Trade Center collapsed. Right? Sad news. On, let's say, I started, you could say I started university on January 2000. You could say I started university on January 2000. Okay? Good? And, once again, you can use the month plus the day plus the year now. The whole thing now, right? So your test is going to be on October 30th, 2019. So here we got the full date. On October 30th, 2019. Okay? But there's more. There's always more. When we also talk about the calendar date. When we talk about the calendar date. So, for instance, your bill is due, right? Your bill is due. And we're going to say what? On the 5th. Your bill is due on the 5th of every month. On the 5th.
On the 5th?
Yes.
Every month.
We expect your payment on the 12th of every month. Okay? So when you make reference to the calendar date, you're going to use on. Okay?
Mr. E,
Yes.
we can use by because it's a period of time
Yes, that's a good one. But by would be before.
before.
Before. So your payment has to be made by, let's say, by the 12th. That means before the 12th. Any day before the 12th. Good. So are we good with this use of the prepositions?
Yep.
Okay, let's recap. Now let's recap on using on. Okay? So we're going to use on for what?
Days of the week.
Days of the week. Examples? When do you come to class? When do you come to class?
On Sundays, on Saturdays.
On Saturdays. On Saturdays. Good. We use on with what? With the phrase weekend, right? Weekends, weekdays. So, examples?
We rest on Sundays
On Sundays or on
or on weekend.
on the weekend.
On the weekend.
On the weekend.
weekend.
We use on for
Dates.
days. So don't get confused here because here we just use in for just a month. But we're going to use on for the dates. For dates. We're going to have month plus day. On July 4th.
Okay.
Month plus year. On September 2011. Month, day, and year. On October 30th, 2019. Calendar dates. For instance, your bill is due on the 5th. Okay? And that's how you guys use prepositions. The prepositions of time, for time, on, at, on, and in. Alright? So that's it. Now, we're going to practice in your worksheet. And thanks for watching, Facebook. And I hope you can join the Academy pretty soon one day. And I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Boom. Au revoir. Au revoir.